child's pose?
We're just starting in a comfortable position, whether child's pose or Supta Baddha Konasana. And since you had a hard time, I'm just going to email Vanessa one more time because she was the other person that we're waiting on. So she probably had a hard time logging in as well.
Okay.
And that's totally my fault. All right, so I feel better knowing I sent her another email and hopefully she can join us. So we're just gonna come into the breath for now. Just settle into our bodies. Whether you are on your back or in child's pose. And just relax the belly. Start to deepen the breath. Maybe even start to lengthen the exhalations. And start to notice all the points of contact where your body connects with the mat. And notice what the rest of you is doing. Are you able to tune in? Are you feeling a little fidgety? Are you able to allow different parts of your body to start relaxing and just start letting go? Maybe a little bit more with every exhale. Maybe even do a little body scan. Just notice what's going on in there. Notice if there's any part of your body that needs a little bit of attention. We already got a request for lower back again. Let's slowly start to come up from child's pose. And since you are where you are, then we will start on toes. It's not a punishment, of course. Just do your best. See if you can sit with the spine straight, and if it's too much, you can lean forward onto your block or whatever you have nearby to help you out. You can just place the hands on your thighs, and eyes can be opened or closed. And again, we're just tuning into the breath and into any sensations that are coming up. What's going on in your feet today? Does one feel different than the other for any reason? How are they feeling all overall? Because I know we don't do this kind of stretch every day. And then we'll go ahead and release, come forward, tap the toes. And let's stay on hands and knees for now so we can warm up the spine a little bit. So if you want to pad your knees up with a blanket or anything, feel free to do that. And we'll start with a few cat-cows. Now, if you want us to do the traditional cat-cow, you can. Or I think last week, Bianca and Anita and I did the other version, which is to start in child's pose. And then to press the hands down and come forward and up, and then come into cow. As you inhale, and then as you exhale, rounding the shoulders as we normally do, chin to chest, and then pressing back into child's pose again. So you can choose if you want to do traditional or you want to do the other one. The second one just has a little more movement to it, a little more undulation for the spine. You can try both too and see if you like one better than the other. Then we'll just synchronize breath with movement. And one thing that I always do in practice, I always challenge myself to see if I can go a little slower with my breath. It's not easy. It does take getting used to. It does take practice. But over time, it has definitely gotten easier. And notice where you're feeling it here. Notice if it's different for you than usual. Because we come all the way into child's pose, are you getting a little more stretch in the shoulders here? Does it feel different on your spine to do it this way? Just things to notice. We'll do a couple more rounds. We'll do like 2 more rounds here, and then we'll meet up in a neutral spine. And then from your tabletop, let's take the right leg back first. We already did the toes. So we'll press the heel back, get into our hamstrings and our calves. Nice full deep breaths. And then we'll take the right leg behind the left, onto the outer edge, look over the left shoulder and breathe. And bring the right leg back to starting. And then take the left leg back onto the ball of the foot first, and then pressing the heel back. Getting into the calves, gaze is past the mat. Just notice how that feels. Nice full deep breaths here. And then we'll take the left leg behind the right, again onto the outer edge. And we'll turn and look over the right shoulder this time. Again, be mindful with this, even though it looks so easy, this is still stretching some of the low back muscles, so be gentle with yourself. And then we'll bring that left leg back. And then from here, let's inhale the right leg back and up. And then as we exhale, we're going to bring the knee to the nose, or close. And then we'll inhale again. Lift the leg back up. We're going to do this 3 times. Exhale, knee to nose. And then one more. Inhale the leg back up. Beautiful. And then exhale, knee to nose. And then release. And we'll switch sides. Next inhale, whenever that is for you, we'll take the left leg up. And we'll do the same on this side. We'll exhale the knee to the nose. And then one more time. Exhale back. Sorry, inhale back. Exhale, knee to nose again. And then one more. Inhaling, the leg comes back up. And then exhale, knee to nose, and then release. And then from here, take the knees a little further apart. Come back into child's pose. Take the arms out in front. Keep them outstretched. And keep the elbows off the mat if you can. Resting on the forehead. So we're creating a bit of traction for the spine. See if you can bring your hips a little closer to your feet. Then lift the head up off the mat just a little bit so you can walk your arms over to the right. And then lower the forehead and breathe. And then lift the head again just a little bit so we can walk over to the other side. Just as far as you can comfortably go, and then lower the forehead again. We'll lift the head one more time. Come to the center, and then if you have the blanket, we'll just move it out of the way, and we're going to come to our bellies. So let's come all the way forward. And let's take the feet as wide as the mat. So you're going to press your feet into the mat, and we're going to come into Sphinx first so we can get a little bit of upper back stretch. So the arms are at 90 degrees. We're pressing them into the mat, pressing the legs into the mat as well. So we're pressing both arms and legs into the mat. Then we're going to pull the mat towards us as if we're trying to pull the chest through. And at the same time, we're lifting the crown of the head. So the upper body is moving forward and up at the same time. And you're using your arms as leverage. Full deep breaths. And then let's slowly release the upper body. And we'll bring the arms out by our sides at 90-degree angles. And we'll inhale and press up through center. And then we exhale, we'll dip the left shoulder and look over to the right. Inhale back through center. Exhale, dip the right shoulder. Look under the left. Inhale back through center. We'll do another full round. Exhale, we're dipping the left shoulder. Inhaling through center. Exhale and dip the right. And then inhale through center. And exhale down to the floor. Now we're going to take the left arm in front, again at a 90-degree angle. Let's reach back and take the right ankle or foot and get a nice quad stretch here. Full deep breaths. then go ahead and release the right leg and we'll switch sides. So we'll go to the left leg this time. And just reach back and take the foot or ankle. And you can rest your forehead on your forearm if you want to. It's up to you. Notice if the leg is fighting back at all. Sometimes it does when we come into a stretch like this. So notice if your quads are really relaxing or if they're tensing up a little bit. And if they're tensing up a little bit, then maybe release the grip a little bit. Maybe don't pull them in so much, and see what happens. See if that helps. And then we'll release the left leg, bring the hands underneath the shoulder blades, the heads of the shoulders, sorry. And we're going to just lift the upper body up off the mat. Now we're still pressing the legs into the mat, so the thighs, the top of the feet, and the hands are just holding us steady. But if you want to, if you can, come up a little higher and then take the hands up. And then release and bring the forehead back to the mat. Inhale and come up again. And again, the hands can either stay lightly on the mat or you can lift them up. And then slowly lower. And then we'll inhale and come up again. Take the legs up if it feels okay. And then slowly lower and release. Again, we'll lift the head and upper body up and then take the legs up as well. Full deep breaths. And then release on the next exhale. And then next time we'll take the hands behind the back and clasp the hands. And then we'll straighten the arms and lift them up and away. And if you want to take the legs up here, you may. You can also bring the chin in a little bit if you want more length in the neck. We'll take a couple of breaths here. And then slowly release, bring the hands to the low back and then release them, and then you can turn your head to one side and take a little rest here. And then we'll turn our head back to the center and we will bend the knees. And then reach back, take the ankles or feet. And you can either stay here and make this your pose and take a few breaths, or we can start to lift up the legs and the upper body. And we'll take a few breaths here. And then to come out of this, see if you can come out a little bit slowly. Just take your time. Release the legs. And you can turn your head to the other side and take another little break if you'd like. And then we'll just turn the head back to center and slowly make our way back up to tabletop. And then from tabletop, we'll inhale the left arm up and exhale under the right and come into our lovely floor twist. So you can just stay here and breathe, or you can take one of our modifications. With the right arm, you can crawl it forward. You can also crawl it forward and to the left a little bit. That will definitely increase some of the stretch, especially in the armpit area. It definitely gets a lot more stretch there, the pectorals. You can also raise the arm up towards the ceiling, rest on the lower back or around the waist. Nice full deep breaths. Let gravity do the work. Notice what happens during the exhalations. And then to come out, we'll bring the right hand next to the face, press to come up. We'll take a full inhale and exhale here. And then on the next inhale, whenever that is for you, we'll raise the right arm up and then exhale underneath the left. And then just like we did on the first side, you can take whichever modification you'd like. You can keep the left hand next to your face, you can reach forward with it, or you can raise it up towards the ceiling, on the low back, or around the waist. And again, notice what happens during the exhalations. Is the body able to just melt into this a little bit more? Notice all the points of contact and how you're fully supported by the mat and the floor beneath it. And then bring your left hand back to the mat next to your face and press into the mat to come up. We'll come up back into tabletop and then just come to sit on the heels and we'll slide off and we're just gonna get onto our backs. We're gonna do some supine lower back stuff. I'm just gonna move this out of the way. Okay. So we'll come here, we'll take the legs out a little further and then about as wide as the mat, and we'll take the knees back and forth a few times to our windshield. So nice for the low back. And you know what? You can play around with this a little bit. You can start with the feet as wide as the mat, and then you can try bringing them in a little bit and seeing if that's better for you, because everybody's different, right? If you bring the feet closer together, you probably get a little more in the hips, depending on how far you go. And if you keep the feet further apart, it's a little less in the hips, a little more just in the low back. So we'll try to play with that a little bit. And then we'll pause here and bring the feet in and hug the knees into the chest. Take a little rock here as well, a little side to side. And then we'll settle into the center. Now keep your hands on your knees. We're going to do a few rounds of Apanasana. So the hands are just the guide. You're actually doing the work with your abdominals. So we'll inhale the knees away, again, just till the thigh bones become perpendicular to the ceiling, and then we exhale the knees back in towards the chest. Again, inhaling away and exhaling in towards the chest. We'll do this a few times. We'll do a bunch of rounds. I'm sort of counting, I'll let you know. Take your time with this, and again, see if you can slow it down a little bit. That is always the challenge. How slow can you go, right? And just notice here as you're bringing the knees in towards the chest, we don't want the hips to come way up off the mat when we do this, so you don't have to go too far. It's a pretty gentle movement, and it feels like it's not even doing anything, but it definitely is. So we'll do a couple more rounds of this, and then we'll bring our feet to the mat, keeping the knees bent. I was waiting for the big one. Okay, so with the feet on the mat and the knees bent, we're going to do a combination of bridge pose, and also the arms are going to be coming up and down. So as we inhale, we'll press the hips up and we'll bring the arms up and overhead. And then as we exhale, again, we have to try to do this slowly, right? So we're going to exhale and we're going to let the spine come back to the mat one vertebrae at a time. You'll notice as you get towards the bottom, you have to tilt your pelvis so that your vertebrae can continue going one at a time. We don't want to just plop on there flat, right? And then again, inhaling, we press the hips up, arms go up and overhead. And then exhaling, slowly, slowly releasing the spine one vertebrae at a time. So see how you can do with this. Again, we'll do a few rounds. You'll synchronize your breath with your movement. And we're just adding more suppleness, more flexibility, a little more stretch to the spine. Just notice how this works. Notice how your body can even do this, and all the articulation of the movements and how each little vertebrae lifts up off the mat and each little vertebrae connects back to the mat. Sometimes I like to close my eyes when I do this because I feel like I can feel things inside my body a little bit more easily without visual distractions. So you can try that, see if you like it. And we'll do 2 more rounds of this. Just remember to use the strength of the legs and we're not crunching into the lower back at all. And then from here, when you're finished, bring your hands together, bring your palms together, and just sort of bring them between the thighs. So you're lifting the upper body up off the mat. Just for a few breaths. And then slowly release. And we'll bring the right leg over the left. So we're coming into figure 4. And then we'll bring the left leg in towards the chest. And if you can reach behind the left thigh and interlace the fingers, great. And we'll give ourselves a nice hip stretch, a piriformis stretch. This one's really great for sciatica. Nice full deep breaths here. And just again, allowing the exhalation to bring us a little bit deeper. And don't forget to keep the feet flexed, just to protect the joints. And then release it gently, not all the way, just enough to cross the legs even further. So it's like we're sitting cross-legged. And then we'll reach forward and take the shins, the ankles, whatever you can reach, and bring both legs in towards the chest again. So this part might be a little bit intense, and if it is, just go gentle. And then we'll slowly release the feet back to the mat and then uncross the legs. And we'll switch sides. We'll take the left leg on top of the right so the ankle is on the upper thigh. And then we'll bring the right leg in towards the chest. And again, if you can reach behind the thigh, that would be great. If you can't, you can reach over and just grab your knee, whatever you can reach. And then just breathe. Notice if this side is different from the first side. It's actually good to know also if you notice in the different poses that we do for these types of stretches, notice which side is different than the other. It'll give you information so you know how to proceed with other poses, knowing if it's the left side that's a little tighter or the right side. Keep the belly relaxed. Make sure you're allowing yourself the chance to take in those slow, deep breaths. Even feeling your belly expand like a little balloon as you're breathing. All that diaphragmatic breathing is just going to calm your nervous system right down. And then we'll release this just enough to cross the legs further like we did on the other side. And we'll bring in the shins or the ankles. We can hold on like we're riding a bike, right? Like our legs are handlebars. And just remember to keep the feet flexed. Nice full deep breaths. Just taking our time here and really give those muscles a chance to release a little bit and surrender, because again, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes they might even fight us back when we're trying to stretch them. So if it's really intense, loosen up a little bit, let go a little bit, so that the muscle has a chance to relax and feel safe and not feel like it has to fight you on what you're trying to make it do, if that makes any sense. And then we'll go ahead and release this and bring both feet to the mat, uncross the legs, and grab your block, wherever that is. You just need one. If you can't find it, Bianca, it's okay because the stretch can be done with or without the block. Don't worry about it. So we'll press the hips up and put the block underneath your sacrum. If you don't have a block, don't worry about it. You can still do the same stretch. This stretch can be done with or without the block. We'll take the left leg out first, and we'll bring the right leg in. And you can take your hands around the shin and just bring in the knee towards the chest. And take a few breaths here. Notice what's happening in the front of the left hip, if you're getting a stretch here or not. Sometimes it is a little easier to feel that with the block, but if we have tight psoas muscle, you'll still feel it either way. Nice full deep breaths. And then slowly release the right leg. We're going to switch sides. We'll bring the left leg in, we'll extend the right, and then we'll bring the left shin in towards the chest, or rather the knee, and we're grabbing the shin. Slow, deep breaths here. Keeping the belly soft as you breathe. If the sensation is too intense, give the bent leg a little more space. In other words, move the knee away from you a little more. But if you want to increase the intensity, move the knee in towards you a little bit more. Then we'll slowly release the left leg as well and lift the hips up, remove the block. Just going to roll over to one side and press up. Just come into a seated position. We'll bring the legs out in front, keeping them about hips width apart. Move the flesh away. In other words, move your butt out of the way. Make sure you can feel your sit bones in the mat. Then we'll inhale, reach up and really stretch up, and then fold forward. Keep the knees bent any amount and fold forward and take some deep breaths here. Then bring your hands to the mat and we'll just gently walk them backwards again. And let's bring the soles of the feet together. And again, moving any flesh out of the way that you might need to. And we'll just hold on to the feet. And keeping the spine straight, we'll start to fold forward a little bit. And you don't have to come too far. You'll know when it's time to stop because your body won't let you go any further. So just take a few deep breaths. Definitely notice this on the inside of the thighs. And then if possible, if it's available to you, try taking the feet apart by opening them up like a book. And you'll notice that the knees will drop down a little bit further. It just kind of loosens everything up. You could even press your forearms into the lower legs to help them out a little bit. And then slowly release. We'll come back up and we'll take the left leg out and then cross the left leg with the right. So now the right foot is pressing into the mat. We're going to take a twist here. So that extended leg should have an engaged foot, so the toes are pointing up to the ceiling. And then whichever knee you have, if it's your right leg, you're going to take the left arm and reach around and hug the knee. Bring the right arm behind you and then lift the chest as you inhale and then twist as you exhale. Keeping both feet flexed, full deep breaths. Notice how that feels. And on your next exhalation, whenever that is, we'll slowly turn back towards the front and we will switch sides. So we'll take the right leg out, cross with the left, bring that knee in, press both feet into the mat, and then we'll take the right arm, hug that knee, turn, inhale, the chest lifts, and then exhale, twist over to the left. Again, checking, keeping that right foot flexed. And then on your next exhale, whenever that might be, we'll turn back to the front and then take the legs up again. This time we'll take them a little bit further apart. And let's see, do I want to, actually no, let's do this one first. Let's bring the right leg in, keep the left leg out. Now the left knee can be bent any amount. You can always put your block underneath if it will help you. And we're just creating a right angle here. So you can decide how that will work for you. You can also roll up a blanket under here. Then we'll inhale the arms up overhead, turn towards the extended leg and fold forward. Make sure that that foot is flexed and only come down as far as you can comfortably go. Be really gentle here because this can be a little strenuous on the low back. We need to stretch it, but we don't need to go too far, and just be gentle. Again, we're just sort of letting the exhales bring us in a little bit deeper here. And then we're going to come out of this nice and slow. So bring your hands to the mat and again, just walk them up slowly. Take your time. We'll switch sides. Bring the left leg in. Maybe even put the block under the right knee or a blanket, whatever you have handy. Keep the right foot flexed. We'll inhale the arms up first and then turn towards the right leg and then fold forward. Hinging at the hip, very gentle. Just come down as far as you can be comfortably. Again, softening the belly. allowing for a nice deeper breath. And then to come out of this nice and slow, we'll bring the hands to the mat and just gently walk our way back up. Now we'll take both legs out. And a couple things here. You can sit on the blanket, or you can actually move your butt backwards a little bit, because that will help you come forward a little bit more easily. And keep the knees bent. Now, if it's really hard for you to fold forward here, just take the hands behind you and you'll press into the mat and use it as leverage to sort of jut the upper body forward just a little bit. And you can stay up here. It doesn't really matter. If you're able to have them forward without your hips, your pelvis wanting to tilt backwards, we want to keep the pelvis forward. So figure out which one works for you. I actually prefer to keep my hands behind me. I feel like I can come forward a little bit more. And we're just going to keep the spine straight. Take a few breaths. And again, I think I mentioned this, but in case I didn't, the knees can be bent, of course, any amount that you need. It's actually better for the low back to keep the knees bent. And then slowly we'll start to come back up, bring the legs back together, and we're going to come back onto our backs again. So we'll take the left leg out, and with the right, we're going to take a twist. So we'll bring the right foot to the left side, take the right knee with the left hand and just twist over to the left, and the right arm can be out by your side. Your gaze can be up at the ceiling or even looking over the right shoulder, and just keep the shoulders on the mat. So that might mean that your leg doesn't twist as far, but it's better to keep your shoulders on the mat. We'll slowly start to come out of this side, and we'll come back to center. We'll take the right leg out and bring the left foot to the right thigh, and then the left knee with the right hand gently moves over to the right into the twist, and that left arm can come out by your side. Soften the belly, full deep breaths. And then we'll slowly release this side. We'll come back to center. And again, we'll bring the knees into the chest, and we'll start with a side-to-side rock first. Just do this a few times. And And then we'll cross one ankle over the other. And then open up the knees. Keep your hands on your knees. And we'll direct them into some big circles. And then whenever at your own pace, we'll switch sides. Or rather go in the other direction. And then release and bring your feet back to the mat, and we'll take them out in front and come into our Shavasana. So if you want to grab blanket, pillow, eye covering, whatever you'd like, feel free. You could even put a rolled blanket under your knees if you'd like. That's always an option too. We'll just start to let go. You can let go of the deep breathing and just come back to your natural breath. Excuse me. You can let the legs feel heavy and allow the feet to just fall naturally away from each other. Or you can keep the knees bent and the feet wide and the knees together will allow the legs to relax and you don't have to feel like you're holding them up. And again, just notice the points of contact. Notice the mat underneath you, fully supporting you. You can relax your sacrum, your pelvis. Allow everything to melt into the mat. Maybe even soften the belly, letting go of the deep breathing. You can just breathe nice and softly here. Relax the shoulder blades. Relax the chest muscles and the whole area around your heart. Just soften. And allow the arms to feel nice and heavy and soft. And relax the neck and the jaw. And release the tongue if it's stuck to the roof of the mouth. And relax the area around your ears, that whole jaw area, and your scalp, and your cheek muscles. Soften your face, soften the eyes, all the muscles around the eyes. And slowly, let's start to bring awareness back to the room, back into your body. And start by taking a full deep breath. Maybe wiggling fingers and toes. You could take the arms up overhead, give yourself a full body stretch. And bend the knees and bring your feet to the mat before rolling over to one side. And slowly make your way back up to sitting. And we'll close out our practice. So good to have you back home. May we all be happy, may we all be peaceful, and may we all be free from suffering, and may we all stay safe. Namaste.